Welcome to Mike Price Dog Training. I'm Mike Price. This is Georgia. Today, what I want to work on is the stop cue. Where the stop cue would be helpful, basically, the stop cue is that your dog stops wherever they're at, stops in place. Where that could be helpful is, let's say that there's a distraction near you that you don't want your dog to come over towards, uh, and you want them to stay where they're at so that you can approach them. I would also practice this by having your dog, uh, like put your dog on the leash sometimes when you practice this, so that they get used to that. They get used to that they're going to be put on the leash sometimes. Just put them on the leash, take it off, so they get conditioned to that, and they don't think, oh, stop means that you're going to come over and put me on the leash, and then we're going to leave the park or anything like that. And that's why I wouldn't actually use the stop cue to leave the park. But if you practice this stuff like that, you get your dog to understand that sometimes you come over and put them on the leash, and it's no big deal because they get taken right off of the leash and they get to play some more, and they get conditioned to be comfortable with that and trust that it doesn't mean something that they don't want it to mean. And then the other thing about that uh, is that then let's say that you do want to actually put your dog on a leash because you need to get out of there. You've done it so many times where that's not the case that they, potentially would still trust when that happens in the future. And if you're like, I got to get my dog on the leash, it's going to be a lot more likely that they won't see you all of a sudden bust out the leash when you're walking up to them after the stop cue and run away from you. So that's what we're trying to avoid with that. All right, so the way that stop is going to work is I'm going to lift my hand up, toss treat, lift my hand up, toss treat, lift my hand up, toss treat. You don't have to have your dog at a really far distance from you for now when you do this in the beginning, but you can kind of do it, start to gradually do it a little bit further and a little bit further away. Just set it up pretty easily. So what's going to happen is that Georgia's going to start to expect that a treat is going to get tossed towards her when she sees my hand come up. Then eventually this is going to become the hand signal, just that my hand goes up. She's going to know to stop because a treat's going to be coming. Uh, and then we can add in a verbal cue, which would be stop. Make sure whenever you add in your verbal cue that it's verbal cue first and then the hand signal following that. Otherwise, the hand signal tends to just be the only thing that they register and they won't register the verbal cue. So it would be like stop, hand signal. So there would be kind of a 1 second in between that thing. So the way that this is going to look is I'm just going to start to feed to toss Georgia some food. So I just throw her one. And you can throw it kind of near them or behind them. Try to get treats that maybe don't roll so much. And you might need to practice this a little bit and get better at your skills. So notice that I'm just lifting my hand up and then tossing it. And that one went behind her a little bit, which is fine. I might lift up. So lift my hand up again. So she saw that one. So part of the, I'm just going to keep doing this for a little bit so that she starts to realize, oh, when that hand goes up, a treat's going to get tossed. And then I might start to add in a little bit of a pause. So a little bit of a pause. There we go, she got it. Okay, so now I'm actually going to move, and then I'm going to lift my hand up like I'm going to toss the treat. When she stops, anticipating that treat to get tossed, then I'm going to mark yes, and I'm going to toss the treat. So I'll move just slightly. Yes. So see how she stopped, and then I marked yes. So yes. And now that I got her doing that, I could actually kind of walk up to her and feed her the treat. Yes. Good. Now I'll walk up and just drop the treat right there to make sure that it's simple. We'll do that a little, practice that a little bit more. She's walking, and then I put the hand up. Yes. Good girl. Good job. And I might have been a little delayed on that. Do that a little bit more. Yes. Good girl. And now I'll start just walking up to her a little bit more for the treat. Yes, good girl. So I'll come up, feed her the treat that way. Yes, good girl. Good. Okay, so now I can add in the verbal cue with her. This might take you a little bit longer. I've worked on this a little bit with Georgia. So you might spend kind of the first session that you're working on with your dog just getting them used to seeing a hand come up, toss the treat, hand come up, and you might do a couple sessions like that. Then you might just start to progress to movement. So, if it needs to take you a little bit more time, that's fine. You don't be in a rush to make this happen. All right, so now I'm going to add in the verbal cue, and remember the verbal cue is going to precede the physical prompt by like a second, kind of. So she'll be moving. Stop. Yes, good girl. And hopefully I had the verbal cue precede the physical prompt. Stop. Yes, good girl. Stop. Yes, good girl. So I'm going to just keep doing that a little bit.